What were you doing at CPH DOX? I mean, did you have multiple
reasons to be here? I was here at CPH DOX as an executive producer of Hollywood Gate, and we had some screenings here, which were great. And then I was pitching in the Forum with a project called Victor, directed by Stephanie Victor.
So when you do that, how aggressive are you trying to set up meetings, or do people, basically come to you?
I mean, when you get accepted to the Forum, you can go through the list of delegates and people that are going to be here, and you can kind of pick 20 meetings. I think and then they prioritize certain things you request, and then so you can request meetings with people, or people will request meetings with you, and then they're kind of spread out over the 3-day period.
So for producers who are not quite as accomplished, like having an Oscar for last year's Best Documentary or something like that, what advice would you give to producers, particularly emerging producers who haven't been to a CPH DOX in terms of probably hunting down financing for their films? What's the best way to go about it?
I mean, if you're pitching in the Forum, then you're going to have meetings. You'll be able to talk about your project and connect with people. And then I think if you're not, just what's so great about CPH is that it's all kind of close together, and it feels like very community, oriented, and everybody is super friendly. And just attending the happy hours, attending the films, hanging out in the spaces. It's just easy to go up to people and ask them what they do and talk to them.
So you've been at this for a while. How do you sustain a career producing documentaries?
I mean, it's a bit of a juggling act, and I think that you have to have a variety of projects, either in development or in production. And I would argue that in the best case scenario is you're not trying to raise money for all of your films, right? That maybe there's a project that has money raised, or that you can set up somewhere. And I know that that's not possible sometimes when you're emerging. For me, when I was a young producer, I had the great privilege of line producing and being a production manager and working with more experienced producers. And so I really learned the craft of documentary producing and filmmaking. And there's that is an amazing way to become a producer, because somebody has to do that work. And what you gain from that is connections and knowledge and experience, so that when you're ready to kind of go out and do it on your own, you have a better idea of what you're doing.
So this comes up all the time for our members. They all want to know how they go about getting a producer on board for their film. And they generally don't have the money to pay for instance. So what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think, sometimes it's in connections, it's in knowing people, it's in asking people for recommendations. I mean, we did a film a number of years ago called On the Divide by 2 first-time filmmakers. It was their first feature film, and we met them at Hot Docs. They reached out to another producer who didn't have any bandwidth, who said, hey, I know these, young producers who are looking for a producing team, and would you talk to them? And I was like, sure. And so we happened to be at Hot Docs, and we all met, and they told us about their project, and we fell in love with it, and we sort of fell in love with them by extension, and really saw the potential in it, and then spent another, 3 or 4 years, I think, making that film. So with not really any money, but really believed in, their point of view and their story.
So it can be done.
It can be done. Yeah, it really can. I mean, I think producers are, filmmakers, producers, we're always looking for great projects, and we're always looking to work with, talented people. That's kind of my personal motto, is the people in the project. So I always love talking to emerging filmmakers, and we work with a lot of first-time filmmakers too.